Hi there, Aquarius. Welcome to your December 2025 love reading. This is going to be for those people who are single as well as those who are coupled. So, but it's going to be for people who are coupled if your relationship is not what you want. If you have a nice relationship, why are you watching? It's everything's great. That's what I always say to people. Okay, let me see here. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Four of Cups. So if you are in a committed relationship, you may be feeling dissatisfaction, you may be feeling boredom, you may be feeling something lackluster. And sometimes it doesn't mean that the other person is bad or anything like that. It can simply mean that you're bored with the relationship. Maybe you don't feel that there's the opportunity for either one of you to grow with that person. And it is possible sometimes that when such a couple splits, that they find partners with whom they vibe better and they do grow. So sometimes it can be the combination of people, and it's not like either one of them is wrong or bad. It's just that they're not on the same wavelength, and therefore they can't really help one another ultimately. Maybe at one point their paths have diverged. At one point they may have been more unified. And sometimes, because children are involved, that's when they were more unified. And so later on, when they don't feel the same way, they get confused because they're like, well, we felt close enough to have children. We should just like stick it out. And, traditionally that's what was done. But now we feel that we have the right to make other choices and have other experiences. We don't feel like, okay, I did this, now I've signed on for life. Whether it's to be with another person, whether it's to, that also happened with jobs where people would stay in the same job until they retired, and it doesn't work that way anymore. And that's good because it means that people are showing up more for their life. They're not just kind of mailing it in and living very by rote. In the past position, we have the Three of Pentacles. Sometimes this can indicate like third-party situations, like when you're talking about a love reading and you get a 3, it could be a three-party situation. And sometimes it's an emotional affair, it's not even a physical one. Although because this is Pentacles, it could be like an actual physical affair. It's also a card of children, of, conceiving children. So it might be that that's when things started to go south, when you had children with this person. If you're single, it can be a situation like a catch-22 situation where you really want to have children, but you are bored at your prospects. You don't feel like there's anything really out there for you. And I do feel that people should pay close attention to that because it could indicate that, what they expect is not something that they are encountering, and to wait for what is much more in alignment with what you're interested in. The higher message, the spiritual message in this is the Seven of Pentacles. This is the farmer's card, and it's about seeking the growth of your project. In this case, it would be for instance, if you're single, you have to have patience. And like if you're dating and stuff, you can't just cut to the chase. I think especially as people get older, they don't want to have to go through all of that rigmarole, and they just want to cut to the chase because they're looking for a relationship. And that can be very risky because if they don't get to know a person thoroughly, they could have a nasty surprise at some point that they didn't even expect because they didn't really vet that person. They didn't get to know them well enough. When it's the difference between growing your own plant and buying it somewhere else, buying whatever the fruits are or the produce is. It can be a labor of love. And even when you're dating, that is a thing unto itself. People kind of forgot about actual dating. Maybe they think it's old fashioned, but it really is. It's serving a purpose. And you have to have patience because because it is something that is very methodical, where you're gradually opening up and when you feel more comfortable with someone, you're not investing everything at first, but you are protecting that investment by continuing to involve it. And then, that could be for some people who are coupled, that if you are bored in that relationship, that maybe you're simply not giving enough attention to it. And it is, you are growing apart from that person because you're not invested in the relationship. So I should have made that clear, that it's not always the case that the people are incompatible or that they're growing apart. It's simply that they are not spending enough time together. And at least they should consider that aspect before they part ways, so that they know for sure that they're not, that they could be compatible. Well, crosses use the Three of Wands. And this is a card, Three of Wands is a card of expansion. So when it's in the challenge position, you are throwing up blocks about expanding. There's some fear attached to it. Like, for instance, somebody who is coupled, the idea of being on their own could be very intimidating. They don't really want it. And if somebody is single, it could be that they're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And maybe even if they were to move, it would stimulate their life, because the Four of Cups, it might be in all areas of life where you feel uninspired and just kind of like everything is Groundhog's Day. It's just repeating itself over and over again. And it feels really boring and you're not into it, but you're afraid of taking that next step and moving because it's the unknown factor. What's coming in is a Devil card. This is a card that can be temptation of material, things alluring you in some way. It could be like if you are involved with someone, you may be reluctant to leave that relationship because maybe they are financially putting your life on another level. But it might be that they are a narcissist and they're very controlling. If you're single, it can be that you are not really, maybe you're working a lot because you're trying to make money, because that has become so important to you that you're neglecting other things in life. The outcome is the Nine of Pentacles, which is ironically a card of financial independence. But I think on the spiritual level, it's all about nourishing yourself so that you can wait for the person who is right for you. All right, that's what I have for you. Bye.